Hello. Welcome to another episode of Bloodhaus. I don't know why I said that so weirdly. I am your host, Joshua Conkel.
And I am the lesbian vampire countess, Drusilla Adeline. I didn't do a joke one this time. I'm just being literal this time.
You're just being truthful, yeah.
I'm just, yeah. The lie detector I'm hooked up to is showing no aberrations.
Yeah.
And welcome to another week of Bloodhaus. How are you doing, Josh?
I'm good. I'm, nothing to report. Life is pretty quiet here. How are you?
I'm good. I thought I was slowing down in terms of like work and busyness, and then I just ratcheted right back up, and I didn't even mean to. I thought things were like getting off my plate and stuff like that, and then like multiple incredible new things came in that I could not say no to. So I am
rest
starting
for the wicked.
Truly, I am starting this wicked season off pretty hectic and decorating around my house. But speaking of like updating my house and decorating and stuff like that, so we're starting like Halloween decorations tomorrow. We're very excited about that. We've got the day off, but yesterday I went out and I made a purchase to upgrade something in my house, and it's the nerdiest, lamest thing I could possibly be excited about. But Josh, when I tell you I'm so outrageously excited that I got an original late 90s dual laserdisc player.
Oh my gosh.
The one you don't have to flip the disc.
Whoa.
I don't have to flip the disc anymore.
That's amazing. I didn't even know you did have to wait, yes, I do remember that. I never had a Laserdisc player, and I don't think I ever really interacted with them in the 90s. So my knowledge of them is limited.
I didn't grow up with them, but I grew up with a Laserdisc store and a rental store, like not far from my house and like across from my high school. That was called the Laser's Edge, Carmel, Indiana. I've still got like some stickers from there. And I was like fascinated by them because like we had VHS up until like the mid 2000s. It was a long time before we got DVD. And I was fascinated by Laserdisc because it was huge and it was weird. And so when I was in like college, I was like, I'm gonna start buying these because these are dirt cheap. And I've cycled through shitty Laserdisc players over the years, and they always break down, and they're always not the most reliable. And they're gigantic because the discs are the size of records.
Right.
They're 12
They look
inches
like
around.
CDs, but are the size of records, right?
They're goofy. They're like impenetrable though, which is nice. And I have a small little library of like Mario Bava movies and like Criterion Laserdiscs and like very like fun stuff. I've got the Devils on Laserdisc. And so some guy on Facebook Marketplace was selling a dual laser one for like $50, which they normally go for like $300 to this day. They were probably like $1,500 when they came out. It's in a beautiful condition. It is sleek, it is slim, and it is also marketed as a karaoke machine for some reason.
Oh, interesting.
It's got like microphone inputs and all these like different karaoke controls. And I'm like, won't be using that. But I'm very excited to finally be able to watch Crash on Laserdisc with the audio commentary and not have to flip the disc over midway through.
That's so cool. My many years ago when I lived in New York, my boss at my office job, he and his wife own Word Bookstore in Brooklyn and Jersey City. New Yorkers will know those stores. They're cherished bookstores. But before that, in the 90s, his first business was that he owned a Laserdisc store in Long Island and still had all of the Laserdiscs like in his garage or something. And people at work made fun of him all the time, but I always thought it was really cool, actually. It's super cool.
I have a friend who his parents were kind of like owned video stores in the 80s, and they like were in like in the film business in terms of like they had like a development lab.
Oh,
yeah, they were in distribution. They had like a developing lab, and then when the home video boom started, they're like, let's get into this. And they and he's like, you can't bring up Laserdiscs in my house ever because they tried expanding into Laserdiscs and opened a Laserdisc rental store, and it ruined them. And he's like, so we don't talk about it. We like...
There's this technology that we had when I was little, early 80s, I'm talking. And people, when I describe it, people are like, you're talking about Laserdisc, and I'm not.
You're talking about CED?
It's called, I've since researched it. It was called the RCA picture disc. And it was the same time as VHS and Beta, but even less popular than Beta. And apparently it was big in China, I think I read. But it was a big flat disc that you pushed into the player and then you pulled it out and the disc was left inside.
It's like a cartridge, yeah.
Yes, but skinny, like the Laserdisc. And that's the format on which, as literally a toddler, I was constantly watching the Muppet Movie, Conan the Barbarian, and Fiddler on the Roof, but just the graveyard scene, which I really loved for some reason. But it's like a technology that no one remembers existed except for one or two people that I've talked to over the years.
So when I was in like middle school, high school, my mom dated a man that we lived with for years. I refer to him as my stepdad, but they never got married. His family in the 70s and 80s had a CED player, the RCA Discovision, whatever.
Yeah.
And they still had their full library. They like weirdly, even though those players didn't sell well, they didn't catch on, the people who had them loved them and bought like huge libraries because the discs were cheaper than VHS. So there's like tons of movies on that. And if you go to Goodwill's or like Be Kind Video out in Burbank, they have like tons of them. And the artwork on them super cool. And so for years, I like had inherited some from that stepdad of like David Bowie ones. I had like The Man Who Fell to Earth and Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars concert film on that, but I had no way of playing them. It turns out it's like actually like a record. It's like it plays on a stylus in the machine. Apparently they look like crap and they are pretty inconsistent, to say the best.
I bet.
Nowadays.
People don't know or forgot that VCRs were so outrageously expensive when they first
VHS
came out.
tapes were crazy expensive. Like it would be like $100, if not more, to own a movie. That's why the rental business popped off.
The VCRs were so expensive too. When I was little, this is another thing that people don't remember or don't know because they're too young or they just forgot if they're older. But when my family rented movies, we had to rent the VCR as well, and it cost. I don't know how much it cost because my mom paid for it, of course, because I was like 4. But it came in like a plastic briefcase and you took it home and then your mom or your dad would have to spend 2 hours trying to figure out how to connect it to your television because it was new technology and it was like a whole affair. It's fun to think about that. I haven't thought about those things in a long time.
I vividly remember the day I came home from school and there was like DVDs on the counter that my dad had rented from the library to be frugal. And I was like, what are these doing here? We don't have a DVD player. And he was like, he came in from the other room with a big box and it was like, for my birthday, I bought myself a DVD player and it was a 5-disc changer. It's huge. It's the size of a Laserdisc player. It's a fucking monster. No one needs 5-disc DVD player. You're not going to watch a movie across 5 discs. It was insane. But it was like DVD players had been around for years and we couldn't afford one. And it was a very big deal in our household when like we could finally watch all of these movies that we didn't have before.
Yeah.
Yeah. We never really had tapes growing up. I don't know. We would tape things off of TV and that was it.
We did too. Later in the 80s and early 90s, we did that a lot, but not in the early 80s. I have a clear memory of renting. This came out in 1984, so I was like 3 or 4. Renting The Breakfast Club, and we rented the VCR and stuff. And we had this babysitter named Miss Grace, this is when we were still in the South, who was like an evangelical Christian. And so we took The Breakfast Club to her house and she had a VCR and she put it in and didn't like the language because it is a rated R movie. And it has bad language, but she found it offensive. So she turned it off and instead put in a movie that she owned, which was Alice, Sweet Alice, which is like a cherished memory of mine is watching Alice, Sweet Alice at Miss Grace's. I don't know. Americans are funny that way. Like bad language and sex are objectionable, but the violence is fine.
Yeah. Murdering pedophiles and priests. You're like, okay, kids can watch this. They need to know.
Speaking of great movies like Alice, Sweet Alice, have you seen anything good lately?
Well, I did watch an 80s movie recently, and one that's connected to a great movie. There's an 80s movie that I've been putting off for years because it is a sequel to a very famous movie that I love, and I'm sure you love as well. But it's directed by a really great director who I love, and it's come up a lot lately in terms of its influence. And that's Psycho 2. I'd never seen Psycho 2 before. And for years I was just kind of like, why would you even do that? What's the point of doing that? But it's written by Tom Holland, who directed Fright Night and wrote the first Child's Play. And it's directed by Richard Franklin, who made Road Games, and Patrick, who's like an incredible Australian filmmaker. And over the years, I've just had more and more and more people be like, actually, Psycho 2 is very good. And like, it's very interesting. It's not what you expect it to be. And like, to the point of like, it's heavily referenced in Maxine, and Ty West has been going to bat for it. So I finally like, had some time off and was like, let's see what, middle-aged Anthony Perkins can bring back to Norman Bates with a weird romance with Meg Tilly. Let's see what that's going to look like. It was fine. It wasn't the awfulness I was expecting a sequel to Psycho to be, but it's also not the lost masterpiece that I feel like a lot of like horror fans have been calling it lately. It kind of feels like Halloween 3, where you're like, this has better than it has any right to be, but it's also not great.
I totally agree. I just went to a screening of that at like a private screening of that a couple of years ago, but I'd seen it as a child. I think it's a 3-star movie. Yeah. These movies sometimes get reappraised and then it kind of goes too far in the other direction, where it's like, this is an amazing movie. And it's like, not really. I am not a defender of Halloween 3. I have the original opinion that it's like not a very good movie. And I feel the same way about Psycho. I think both are like 3-star movies that are fine.
Yeah. There's a lot of like good stuff to like about it. I like making Norman Bates like the sympathetic hero of the story. I think that's really compelling and really interesting. I like the idea of gaslighting Norman Bates. I think that's super fun. I think Meg Tilly's a great casting choice. Dennis Franz showing up is like a really great sleazy trashy touch that is delightful. Richard Franklin shoots it in a lot of sequences like Hitchcock would shoot it. There's a lot of matte paintings. There's a lot of crazy like aerial shots. It's very, very, very exciting visually. A lot of Vera Miles' stuff is very like not incredible. I found like the cast of characters really slim, so that when you get into the kind of like giallo who's behind it, it's not really much of a surprise. I found the second half really kind of like tedious. And also the thing that made me really like sour to it is midway through the movie, some teenagers break into the Bates house to go have sex in the basement. And I was like, get this the fuck out of here. Get this 1983 slasher bullshit out of Psycho. What are you doing? This has no business being here.
It also just loses a lot from virtue of being in color, which of course it is in color because it's from the 80s and they wouldn't make a black and white movie really.
But it opens with like an extended sequence of just showing you the shower scene from the first Psycho, which is a big mistake.
Even if the movie were better, I mean, this is why I don't generally love franchises, right? Like even when they have good sequels, like there's some good Halloween sequels. Most of the Scream movies are good, but you just can't capture lightning in a bottle twice. Like, no, Scream 2 is excellent. I really genuinely love that movie. And many of the Scream movies are excellent. However, none can ever be as game-changing and as zeitgeisty and as pivotal as the first movie is. Even if they are technically as good, they'll just never be as special. And it's the same with Psycho. It's the same with Halloween. It's just like, even Nightmare on Elm Street, my favorite movie is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors of that franchise, but it's still not as game-changing and special and zeitgeisty and lightning as a bottle as the first movie, and it never can be again. So that's why I'm kind of like not into franchises.
I very much agree with you, and I think like there's fun and interesting things you can do with franchises. After a while, it turns a property into TV, which I find uninteresting. But also, like, this concept and the setup behind Psycho 2 is a good one, but honestly, I wish that it wasn't Norman Bates. I wish it was a different, that you weren't trying to make it that, and just be like, okay, this is the story about a man who's released from a psychiatric facility because he committed murders in the past through like a DID split personality thing, but he's healthy now and he's trying to go through life, and things keep happening around him and bodies are starting to pile up. And he's like scared and like doesn't know how to deal with this, and people are persecuting him. That's a great concept for a slasher, and like a very like giallo tinged gaslighting slasher at that. There's a great setup. But by like constantly being like, we're gonna look in the shower. What's going on over here? And then very much you can feel the like 1980s Universal Studio executives munching on their cigar, being like, you need to get some teenagers having sex in this one. You're like, no.
You're totally right about the TV thing too. Like the new Scream movies, which again, I really like, they feel like television. The franchise is so precious about those characters. The franchise is so emotionally invested in those characters. The kids calling themselves the Core Four, that's a TV term. That's the term that we used on Riverdale and Sabrina to describe our main characters. Like that is just television, and it's good television, but it's like at some point you got to start killing off these kids because this is a slasher.
No, exactly. It's. I mean, in the long view of things, I think it's a Marvel symptom. Marvel now being at like 40 some movies, like that's a TV show. You just made a really expensive TV show and put it episodes in theaters. That's what you did, guys. It's not a movie. Sorry.
And horror's really hard to do in television unless you're going to do an anthology, like our guy,
Rod Serling.
Rod Serling, or I was thinking Mike Flanagan is who I was thinking of. Or you can do like a campier, poppier thing like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but no one has successfully done like a long running slasher for television.
It's hard to serialize horror.
Format. Yeah.
Horror works best in short format because horror's best as a short jolt. And because like the ultimate like end of horror, the ultimate horror is death. It's always going to mean the characters are going to die. The more you elongate a horror story, the less interested it's going to be. The only like long form, like really stretched out horror adjacent thing I can think of is in books, and it's Anne Rice. And it's because you have vampires that are immortal.
Who are immortal, yeah.
Yeah. That's the, but that also like, turns into a soap opera. So like, I don't know. Have you watched anything great of late?
I did. I rewatched a movie that I'd seen when I was a kid. And speaking of those VHS days, this kind of like loomed large as a little boy in the 80s in terms of its like VHS art and the way that kids talked about it around me. And it was interesting to rewatch it because I hadn't seen it probably since the 80s. But I rewatched the 70s Larry Cohen movie, It's Alive, about the killer baby.
I love those movies.
I love them too. I loved it. It's a really fun movie. It plays really weird when you watch it as an adult. Like no one has like normal reactions to things. So the movie opens, of course, with a woman giving birth, and the baby basically tears her apart and then kills all the doctors and nurses. And the dad is in the lobby smoking cigarettes with the other dads, which is what you did back then, I guess. And so then the cops come to him. The cops literally say it like this: "I'm sorry to report that your baby has killed 8 people and escaped into an air duct." And then he's like, "Oh no." And then he just goes home, and the next day goes back to his job. And it's like nobody's reactions are like appropriate to what's happening. And it just maintains that the entire movie. It like leaks to the press. Everyone in Los Angeles, all the newspapers and all the TV stations are like following this guy. And he's like, "Leave me alone. I don't know where my baby is." And the baby's just like crawling around Los Angeles, killing people. And it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, the baby's in the sewer drain. It's just going. Ah! It's they're so fun. It's Alive also has one of the funniest, intentionally funny, because Larry Cohen is so good at balancing.
He's very funny. Yeah,
moments in any movie ever where like the police are on the lookout for this killer baby. Right.
Yeah,
it's a killer baby movie. The cops in L.A. are on top of it. They're gonna get it. And there's a scene where they all swarm this house and run in and rush their guns all in. at the truck because I found the killer baby, and it cuts and it's just a fucking toddler sitting in the grass. And it like cuts to the like this like wide angle shot of all these guns around a toddler.
It's so funny that the toddler also is just like completely alone in the yard in the middle of Los Angeles, which is so true to the 70s and 80s because truly, I mean, there's like a lot of memes and stuff, but my parents did not give a shit about me at all in the 80s. Like I was promptly sent out of the house when the sun came up, spent all day out about town riding bikes, doing God knows what, came home for dinner. No one asked me a single question about where I was or what I did. It just is like so relatable to that time. Anyway, it's a fun movie. It's not as, I don't think it's as fun as some other Larry Cohen movies that I love. Like The Stuff, obviously, is so fun. And a movie that I really want to do on the show sometime, God Told Me To.
Oh, it's on the list.
Which I love. That would be a really fun one for us. But super fun and really worth rewatching. The tone is really weird. It's like a chilled out movie. Very chill. Very like hangout movie almost.
The sequel's really good too.
Island of the Alive.
But that's the third one.
Oh, which is the one with Karen Black. I've seen the first 3 of them, but I don't remember.
I think the third one, Island of the Alive, has Karen Black. Yeah. I think the second one's called They're Alive. Mm-hmm. The poster for the first one's really iconic because it's like the little baby pram with the like kind of like claw coming off the side. And for the second one, they're like, okay, how do we let the audience know that it's like the first one, but there's 3 killer babies now? There's just 3. They just repeat the poster and it's 3 of them. It's genius marketing. So
Very
cheap.
Clear. You know what you're getting.
Yeah. I adore those movies. I think they're super fun. I've got them on tape. I think it's like Shout Factory did a box set of them or something like that. I love one of my favorite things about Larry Cohen. He's so good at taking like a fun, punchy B movie, like simple dumb idea, and then giving you like the macro scale of it.
Yeah.
It will always start as like, oh my God, my baby's evil, or oh my God, that ice cream is making people kill each other. And it's the kind of thing that like a lot of other people would be like, okay, it's gonna be like, we're gonna treat this like a Rosemary's Baby. It's like a few people in a room, and it's like we're stuck in this apartment building, and the killer baby's on the loose. And Larry Cohen's like, nah, let's get the fucking helicopters out here. Let's see what they're doing in Torrance. Like, this baby's on the move.
Yeah. It's super fun. I love Larry Cohen, and I recommend it. Mm-hmm. Today, I'm so excited. We're discussing a movie that we've put off for far too long, a movie that we both absolutely adore. This is my favorite vampire movie of all time, my favorite vampire on screen. From 1971, directed by Harry Kumel, it is Daughters of Darkness.
Silly tales about ghouls chased away by garlic and vampires shrinking from crosses.
She kidnapped young girls and kept them chained to give blood. Blood for her to bathe in and drink.
She bit them everywhere.
No.
And then she pushed white-hot pokers into their faces. And when they parted their lips to scream, she shoved the flaming rod up into their mouths.
Stop it. Blood. Beautiful red. Stop it! Around my leg. Stop
it. Part of why I think I was putting this off for a long time is because I talked about this as a guest on a podcast. The podcast is the now defunct but very popular Attack of the Queer Wolf.
Yes.
And I was a guest on that, and I brought this. And it's actually where I met my best friend, Michael Kennedy, who was the host of it. And that's when we met. And it's all on tape. You can go listen to it. I'll put it in the show notes. So
that's
I just
adorable.
Feel like, weirdly, I felt like we've done it, but we hadn't. I talked about it as a guest on another show. And also, I will say, none of them were really into it because they did movies that were like more commercial. And so I think I threw them for a loop and none of them were very into it.
It's very
like,
much the pilot episode for Bloodhaus, some could say.
Yeah. I don't remember when I first saw this. I was probably in my 20s. It was a movie that kind of grew on me because my taste developed and got more sophisticated. I think I probably found it a little bit sleepy when I first watched it, but now it's like a movie that I watch all the time. I have the soundtrack on vinyl. I put it on when I'm cleaning my house. It's just, I have a painting of it literally behind me right now.
Yeah, we look at Delphine Seyrig every time we record.
Yeah. When did you first see this movie?
I saw this my early 20s. It was when I was like first had moved to LA and was living in like a tiny hot AC-less studio apartment in Koreatown. And I'm sure I'd heard of the title vaguely, but I am such an ardent like devourer of vampire movies, and I was getting super into European horror at the time, and it was like way down like a giallo rabbit hole, and I found a like BBC documentary from either the 90s or the early 2000s that was hosted by Mark Gatiss. Yes, it was hosted by Mark Gatiss, and it was literally, I think I mentioned this on the episode about La Residencia, the house that screamed. It's a really great special because he goes to like country to country to country and is like, this is the big Euro horror movie from this country, and this. So he like talked about like Germany and England and Spain and France. And for France, of all the myriad of choices and for all the myriad of lesbian vampire choices that France has to offer, he chose Daughters of Darkness. And like, it's the whole special starts with that. He goes to the location, he goes to the hotel where he meets with the director Harry Kumel to talk about the movie.
Wait,
and I was
this
like,
isn't French, this is Belgian.
Oh, Belgium. Well, then he talks about then it's the choice for Belgium rather.
Okay.
Either way. And he like brings the director back to the original like seaside hotel location to like meet with him and talk about it. And I was like, this is crazy. How come I've never seen this movie? How come I don't know this movie? And I like the same night, if not the next day, I tracked it down. I think it was on Shudder at the time, or just on YouTube. And I watched it in full. And I was so shocked and blown away to see Delphine Seyrig, who's one of my favorite actresses, and like, again,
huge French movie star. I mean, one of the biggest stars in France when she's doing.
She's this movie. Like kind of the Audrey Hepburn of France,
right?
I, as I've mentioned on the show plenty of times, grew up on a more like art house diet than any other human being. So like, I already like by high school had known, seen, and loved Street Charm of the Bourgeoisie and Donkey Skin and Last Year at Marienbad and Stolen Kisses and Qui Êtes-vous Paul Magoo and The Milky Way and Jean Dielman, and like I was like very familiar with her as like art house like legend and like pop art legend. And so the idea of like, oh, and then she did a lesbian vampire movie as the main lesbian vampire, and she styled vaguely after
Marlene
Dietrich, and her partner is styled after Garbo?
Oh, Louise Brooks,
yes, because she's got the little black bob.
Yeah.
I was like so fucking sold because those are like my two biggest touchstones were like early silent Hollywood and Euro like art house, and then lesbian vampire movies. And I'm like, I get all of this at once. I was blown away. It became an instant favorite that day, and it's been one that like I've like we'll have friends over and I'll show to friends very frequently. When I started dating my girlfriend, it was one that like as soon as I found out that that's a movie she also like already like knew, loved, and owned, I was like, yep, we're like very simpatico. We have it on like 4K Blu-ray. We have it like I think multiple VHS releases of it. Big fans.
The reason that Elizabeth Báthory, played by Delphine Seyrig in this, is my favorite movie vampire is that vampires in movies often have the ability to like hypnotize people or charm people in that kind of way. But it feels like her performance actually does that. Like her performance feels supernatural because every moment that she's on screen is like hypnotic. Like she's so beautiful, so charming that it does feel like you, the viewer, there's a spell on you. Like she's just that good and that beautiful in this. I think it's an extraordinary film performance from her.
It is, again, it's the like great power of casting like a true massive movie star for that kind of role. And that's like the tough thing about casting a vampire, period, because they're supposed to have that like charisma and magnetism that is like so rare in human beings, period, but is so common in cinema. And is so like the thing that makes movie stars, but so rarely, other than like Bela Lugosi, can I think of another like actor who's played a vampire that like actually has that level of like hypnotic charisma. Because you're not going to see like Brad Pitt or George Clooney. I mean, Brad Pitt did play a vampire, but he didn't bring a lot of that sauce to that performance, we'll say.
Right.
But you're not going to see like George Clooney or Audrey Hepburn slumming it in a vampire movie, right? You're not going to see Marilyn Monroe do a vampire movie.
Right. Do you know who I think does this in sort of a different direction because they're so frightening and disgusting as a vampire is Klaus Kinski in Nosferatu has a similar quality in a different variety. Like it's a creepy,
like you can't
unnerving.
Stop watching.
But it is like similarly hypnotic and good.
Mm-hmm.
I think every single aesthetic aspect of this movie is perfect, from the colors and font of the title cards to the beautiful score to the
little green cocktails.
The green cocktails, the costumes, everything about this movie to me is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Even the way they photograph the candles in this movie, so that every little flame has a perfect little like glint and glitter. Oh yeah.
Like a lot of halation and just beautiful. And
from a like design and like costume and wardrobe perspective, it's like outrageously chic, outrageously well designed.
Incredible. Yeah, they dressed her character in Nazi colors to make her sort of symbolize fascism and authoritarianism, basically, which is an interesting choice. Lots of reds. God, I just love this movie so much.
I mean, she's so like her character and her role is so reminds me so much of those like German films from the 30s, and then also the films that Rainer Fassbinder was making at this time and then into the early 80s about that era of like glamour in the 30s of like a fascism on the rise, and like in the like late 40s, like late 50s of like, if you think about like, I feel like this and Veronica Voss would be a really good feature, because that's a movie about a German movie star from before the war who then was a Nazi collaborator who after the war is left like a shell of a person addicted to morphine and just kind of like wandering around like a ghost, like expecting everyone to recognize her and still dressing like she just walked off of set. It's like a kind of like Norma Desmond Sunset Boulevard kind of performance. And I feel like Daughters of Darkness has a lot of that in its characterization, but the flip side of it, because the way that like the porter at the hotel still recognizes her
from when he was like
when he was like a kid, but she still does actually have that magnetic pull, and all that still does work for her. She's not decaying in any shape or form. And I don't know, I think she's outrageously incredible in this movie.
So story-wise, this movie follows Valerie and Stefan, who are a hot young couple who have just kind of like had an impulsive wedding and are spending an impromptu honeymoon at a deserted hotel in winter in Oostende, Belgium. And the only other guest at this hotel is Elizabeth Bathory, who we've just talked about at length, and her longtime companion, Alona, who's like her thrall. And of course, Elizabeth Bathory becomes obsessed with Valerie. And steals her away from her husband. And that's kind of the story. There's also murders happening in the background and an investigator and blah, blah, blah. But it's basically a lesbian obsession story. In case listeners do not know, Elizabeth Bathory was a real person. She was a Hungarian countess who murdered literally hundreds of virgins because she believed that bathing in or drinking virgin blood could help her stay young. So this movie's insinuating that this vampire is her and that she's still alive and traveling the world and on constant vacation, which is so chic.
Yeah. And honestly, wouldn't you?
I absolutely would. I was like, God, what a life just to travel and be beautiful. I love her entrance so much because she arrives in a gorgeous car that Alona is driving, and she steps out. The first thing you see is her high-heeled shoe, and then the camera pans up and there's a key light on just her red lips, and it's so beautiful. Like total diva entrance. Incredible.
Mm-hmm. They so much of like the young couple on the train and getting there, and then like the small like murders around the town, like have so much of that like early 70s kind of like rough and tumble like Euro thriller sleaze vibe to them. As soon as she's in the room, the entire aesthetic of the movie switches and changes to like the look of like early Hollywood.
Yeah.
Like Joseph von Sternberg lighting and glam.
Yeah, well, so apparently, she was a huge movie star, and lesbian vampire movies were really sleazy and were a thing at this time. And
Jean Rollin, of course, famously was like churning out a lot.
And
Jess
her
Franco,
husband, I think it was, told her like, "You should do this. You could elevate this." And that person was right. I mean, this is like still got a sleazy element, but this is elevated. This is classy. This is a classy affair, I would say.
It's a bloody sapphic affair, but not in. It never feels prurient in any way, shape, or form.
No,
while still giving you all of those delights and all of those like really fun excitements, but also like, I mean, when characters are killed, they're dispatched with like fruit bowls. Like,
yeah, the deaths are a little silly in that regard. I love how sexy this movie is. Like Valerie and Stefan are really horny for each other. It feels like they've just met. It doesn't actually say, but it implies that they've only known each other a short time and then just got married. And they are really hot and horny for each other this entire movie. The movie opens with a sex scene on a train, which is beautifully lit and gorgeous. And there's a great conversation when she's like, "Do you love me?" And he's like, "No." And she's like, "I don't love you either." And it's like played as a joke, but you also kind of get the sense that there's some truth behind it, you know? They're both so hot, and I love them both. He is played by John Carlin, which some people might... I know him from Dark Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
He was a regular on Dark Shadows for its entire run as Willie Loomis, the like shifty henchman.
He played like 17 characters in Dark Shadows.
He did, but that's his main character. But Dark Shadows was weird because it would like for a whole season would just like go back in time. And so suddenly you're in the same house, but it's the 1700s and everyone would be playing a different character for that season. So yeah, it would do that kind of thing. But I love them in this movie. I love him in this movie. This was not a very fun movie to work on. Harry Kumel actually hit the actress who played Valerie at some point on set, which everyone witnessed. And then John Carlin attacked Harry Kumel. And so there were fistfights on the set, and it seemed a very unpleasant affair.
Yeah. I mean, there is the old Hollywood adage of the more fun you have on set, the worse the movie's going to be. That's not always the case, and I don't love that, but I don't want to like justify shitty behavior on set when the movie turns out good. But I think it's possible to make a good movie and not be a piece of shit. I will say the actress who plays Valerie, Danielle Ouimet, is like, if Delphine Seyrig is the like engine that's running this, she is like the heart and soul. She is so fucking incredible.
She's great in this.
And she's up against like talent. She's up against a lot. And I don't think I've seen anything else with her. She's got such a striking look, the like super long straight blonde hair. I mean, she looks so modern.
1971. Yeah, it's like that is the look. If Delphine Seyrig's character is old world and old Hollywood, she is the poster girl of the flower child moment that we're in 1971.
I also deeply love the way that this movie kind of handles the lesbian relationship of these vampires, because they still like they're still seducing him as much as they're seducing her, but it's also, I don't know, it feels sexual and it feels romantic, but it also, there's a very evident power imbalance between the sapphic relationship at its core and the secondary sapphic relationship that kind of runs through the B plot and back half of the movie. And I'm also just now realizing that I also have Delphine Seyrig over my shoulder.
Yeah, you do.
I have a poster for the Milky Way behind me, and I'm just realizing that, oh yeah, there she is with like the exact same hairstyle too.
Yeah.
Because that movie was filmed the same year.
Also stunning is Andrea Rao, who plays Alona, the little hench person to
the much put upon lesbian lover hench person.
Poor Alona. She's got like a little black bowl cut, bright red lip, beautiful moon face. I mean, all three women in this movie are just so stunningly beautiful.
And she's always styled in like really simple black and white palettes.
Yeah.
Her lips just scream off of her face. The palette of this movie is incredible. The amount of purples and like blues and reds are like, it literally will feel like an Almodovar movie, the way that it uses these like really, really strong, solid colors.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about this? It's such a weird specific thing, but it makes me laugh every time. So this is a giant abandoned, because it's off-season, hotel. And there are so many shots where an actor passes through a giant potted palm tree and like swats the branches out of the way. It's like, you just clearly thought that would look good because it's an empty hotel that's gigantic. You could have walked around it. There's only one tree. I don't know why everyone is having such a hard time getting by or through this potted plant, but it happens over and over and over again. And it makes me laugh. I just love it.
I think it's absolutely delightful. I love all the little quirks of this movie. Like they don't need to be drinking little grasshopper-esque cocktails that are like unnaturally green.
Thick.
Yeah. It's like a shamrock shake and a martini glass.
Yes, it's so strange. Which of course she dumps into a potted plant because she, I guess, doesn't drink as a vampire. It implies.
Also the like punch bowl, whatever that's used to dispatch John Carlin, Stefan, is such a crazy choice that like I get the urge from some audiences to laugh at that moment.
Yeah.
But I also find it like absolutely terrifying in the way that a lot of like the scariest kills in movies to me are like household objects. Like the simplest, like, oh, you like tripped and fell and like split your head open on the coffee table. Like, and that's how you died.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that I'm like, I can feel the like glass like rimmed edge of that pressing into my neck while watching that, and I fucking hate it.
Similarly, some people I've talked to laugh at the moment when Stefan has had sex with Alona, has cheated on his brand new wife with Alona, and they're in the bathroom and he tries to playfully bring her into the shower where he is, and she freaks out, and that's what causes his death. And people are like, I don't understand that. That's what happened on the podcast I was on. And I was like, oh, it's because in a lot of the old vampire tales, they're afraid of running water. Like that's what's happening. It's like vampires don't like running water. And I think that that's like a thing that people don't remember about vampires.
It's been left out of the mythology in the same way that the like vampire demon, if you spill rice or sand on the ground, have to count them all.
Mm-hmm.
That's also been left out of a lot of mythologies. It's part of the reason why, like, you'll make like a summoning circle with salt around, like a protective circle of salt. It's because they've got to count every single grain. That's why that's a thing. But it gets so condensed over media and over time that it's like, they don't like salt. It's like,
it's why in the South there's a color called haint blue that people will paint their doors and their porches, because it's believed that evil spirits can't cross water, and that color tricks them into thinking that that's water, so they can't come into your house. So people paint their like window frames and their doors this like really beautiful blue called haint blue. Haint is haunt.
beautiful, and we should be using that everywhere.
It's a beautiful color too. It's like a baby blue, really pretty.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how much this movie leans into like classic European vampire folklore. Like, she's literally Elizabeth Bathory. We're not like, we're not leaning in Bram Stoker. We're not doing Carmilla. We're not doing like some modern Jean Roland like sci-fi vampire thing. It's literally like, this is Elizabeth Bathory. All those old legends that like the people have like grown up with. That's what we're doing. We're putting that in 1971. We're like sicking them on a like free love generation couple that could be the stars of a fucking like Sergio Martino Giallo movie themselves. They've got enough shit going on. I love how this movie ends too. Not to like spoil anything.
It's so good.
I like when a vampire is not defeated. My two big gripes with vampire movies, as the person who is covered in vampire-related tattoos and I have nothing but vampire ephemera in my house, and it's my favorite like horror subgenre. If you're making a piece of vampire media, and the vampire is easily dispatched in the end, it should be difficult to dispatch the vampire, or the vampire should be like nearly to the point of immortal that like you're not even certain if they're gone or not.
Yeah.
But the most important one to me is if you're making a piece of vampire media, someone has to be turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
This is like a hard and fast rule of the genre. And as much as I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, it's one of my biggest issues with that show. Of like, really? You couldn't turn anyone from the main cast into a vampire?
I know, it's so strange. In all those years. I hear you, and I think there's a lot of vampire movies, this one included, where you want the vampire to live at the end because, frankly, you're rooting for the vampire. They're the most charismatic character. Even though they're the bad guy, the villain, they're the ones that you like the most secretly. So, and I think a lot of us, if we could choose to be a vampire, maybe would. Or you know, like, because you live forever, you're so powerful, you're beautiful forever, you're, you know, like, that's the appeal of it, right?
There's a lot of appeal to it. It is like there is like something so innately human about a vampire in terms of every other monster, that it's significantly scarier and more appealing than a lot of other things. But like, no one wants to be a zombie. No one like, some people want to be werewolves, but like most people don't. It's like very much shown as a burden. But like, some people probably want to be the creature in the Black Lagoon, but honey, you got to be born into that lineage. Like,
I mean, there is a natural fear, I think, of beauty and seduction, and beauty is a currency. We live in Los Angeles. We know this as well as anybody does, that like, people joke about this, but it's real. Pretty privilege. You know, if you're a beautiful person who's charming, you have a lot more at your disposal than a regular person does. And so vampires are like the ultimate version of that. Like, they're so seductive and so beautiful that they can have anything that they want, including you and your life and your soul.
And to get to your point about Delphine Seyrig's performance, like actually like casting a spell on the audience, vampires do that in media too. They're able to get away with it within like the narrative constraints of the movie, but they also convince the audience that they should.
Yeah.
Watching a vampire movie, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be like, no, Jerry Dandridge is. Let him kill sex workers. What are you doing, teenage boy? Let him have his fun.
Yeah. There's an element of this that I don't want to go unmentioned, which is that Valerie's very so Stefan has presented himself as a British aristocrat, even though he's clearly American. She's like, and she questions this. She's like, you were raised an American? He's like, yes. He's an aristocrat from England, an old money family. Valerie's naturally very concerned about this because she's more working class. She wants to meet the mother, and she wants him to tell the mother, and he keeps pretending like he can't call her for various reasons. Finally, we get that phone call, and on the other end of the line is a middle-aged gay man in a smoking robe in a posh conservatory with a servant. And he even calls himself mother at one point. So what do you think that this is implying about the character and his real background? I have an opinion, but I'd like to hear yours first.
I always kind of viewed his, not the mother character, but Stefan's character, as being literally a gigolo.
Me too.
Like the classic, like he's a gigolo who's out to get her money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought too, that he was lying about being an aristocrat. And the truth is that he's a gigolo and currently a kept man by this wealthy British gay guy.
Yeah. Mother. It's so like James Bond in a very like really like queer way.
I love the mother.
It's one of the like most like weird ballsy choices in this whole movie, and it always makes me so excited. I always forget about it when it happens.
I always forget it's coming, and then I'm like, yes,
mother.
Yeah. I love that the servant brings the phone to him on a pillow and then kneels at his feet, and then he like pats the servant's head like an animal and then sends him away with just a flick of the wrist. It's like so cunty and delicious.
I love stuff like that. It always makes me think of the like evil, only occasionally seen like mob boss at David Lynch's Wild at Heart, who just has like a harem of naked women around him, like clipping his fingernails and holding the phone. And one scene, like a woman's just like sitting on a toilet and he's like standing next to her, and you're like, what's going on?
Yeah.
What is your life like?
This is my hot take about this. There's been so much discussion about queer villains in the past 10 or so years, and like bury your gays and all of these like tedious conversations. For me, at this point, don't put a queer don't put a queer person in your movie unless they're the villain. I'm not interested in any other kind of queer character. I think villains are what we're good at. I think villains are what we love. I only want queer villains. I don't want queer heroes. Sorry about it. You can at me if you want. It's what we're good at. It's what God intended. And it's the most delicious thing. And I can't imagine wanting less of it. That is mind-boggling to me. Sorry.
I agree. I think it's great. I think if you have a queer hero, you need to offset them with a queer villain.
Yes, that's the thing. Thank you. That's a good compromise. Like, you have to earn it by having a queer. I don't know. I was talking to a friend who's Black, and they were talking about we just seen a horror movie that I won't mention that has like a very diverse Fen group, which is normally good, but it was to a degree that felt a little bit like obvious, or like it was trying to placate an audience. And she was like, in truth, like Black people don't need a token character. Like we want a movie where everyone is Black, and if it's not that, then we like don't care. And that's kind of how I feel about queer people. It's like, shove this full of queer people. Don't give me like a gay best friend anymore. I'm past that. Like, but if you're not going to give me a movie where everyone is queer, then like I don't really care. You do whatever you want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Does that make any sense?
No, that makes a ton of sense to me. Okay. But also, like, not to pull like a Kimmy Schmidt, like it's the 90s, everyone's gay, but like it's 2024. Like in a movie or a show where like every single person is straight, I'm suspicious.
Totally.
I don't even know that many straight people.
Totally. We live a very particular kind of life, you and
but
I.
Also,
but yeah.
like even when I go back to Indiana, I don't know any straight people. Like, I know like maybe one or two straight people, and all of their friends are gay. Like, or at the very least are like bi and have like a heterosexual like current partner. Like, no one is like only straight and has only straight friends unless they're like, I don't know, JD Vance. Like,
totally. Not even him. He famously has a transgender friend who he gave baked goods to when they transitioned.
Oh yeah.
This is like famously well documented now. He's turned on them since then because he's an opportunist. But yeah, even JD Vance has a trans friend.
You all know someone who is some flavor of under the like Skittles rainbow. Yeah. So like,
anyway, here's my bottom line. For this reason and many others, I no longer wish to see like a wholesome twink love story where the two characters have no flaws and are just like nice boys from the suburbs. Like, I don't have that in me anymore. Like, give me queer villains. We're going all the way back around. I just want Scar from The Lion King to be the villain in everything.
Jeremy Irons is so homophobic, but little does he know every character he's ever played is queer.
It's so true. Do you know what gay villain I love is the Sheriff of Nottingham from every version of Robin Hood. Is like always like, bring me this Robin Hood.
He's such a daddy. I mean, like that same energy is like carried over into The Princess Bride with Chris Sarandon's character, who's like, I have a wedding to plan and a wife to murder. Like he and Christopher Guest are absolutely hooking up. He's using that 11th finger for something really naughty.
I love it. Anyway,
every character in Daughters of Darkness is queer, so I think you're safe on that bet.
Yeah, except for Stefan doesn't feel very queer. He feels, I mean, he beats his wife, so he's like very heterosexual coded.
Gay men beat their wives. I don't know.
He's also wearing that short little red robe for a lot of this with matching slippers, which feels very gay.
Again, he has Mother in his life.
True. You're right. Of course.
He's a hustler who has Mother in his life. You cannot tell me that Stefan hasn't had consensual sex with another man.
Well, he's gay for pay, which is the classic way to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which doesn't make you straight. And as we know, Valerie also, falls to temptation.
Yeah. I mean,
so exactly. Truly, widely, deeply. Who the hell wouldn't? I know so many women that are like, just women are so beautiful, and like we'll watch like a lesbian themed relationship in like movies or TV shows and be like, just reminds me of my friends and my besties, and like wouldn't that be the best? I'm like, you can date women. Like, did you know this?
An option. Yeah,
it's legal.
Yeah,
no one's stopping you.
I want to talk about the score a little bit by Francois de Roubaix, I think is how you say it. I've never known how to say it, but it's so good. I have it on vinyl and I listen to it all the time. It's really great for writing. And again, it's like using instruments from old world Europe. It has kind of an old world feel to it. It feels like you're like on a canoe in Venice or something. Like it's just beautiful.
A canoe in Venice.
You know what I mean? That's what it makes me feel like. Like
a gondola?
Yes, a gondola. It feels like I'm on a gondola in Venice and I've got one of those sticks and I'm like just pushing myself through fog at a Venice night.
You're wearing a little striped shirt. You got a little handkerchief tied around your neck.
Yeah.
I can see it. This is another one of the elements that like connects this movie to more of that like kind of prestige, what was going on in European cinema at the time. Because Francois de Roubaix, he was doing the score. He had just come off doing Jean-Pierre Melville's Le Samurai.
Yeah.
Which like, holy shit. And then he did a lot of like Alain Delon movies. He did Diabolically Yours. He did a lot of like late like 70s like comedies and action movies, and like his work is fucking incredible. And it's another one of those things where like that feels like a big get for this movie.
Yeah. Also, since you mentioned him, Alain Delon, or what is the name that you just said?
Alain Resnais.
Yes, thank you.
Alain Resnais. Alain Resnais, a fucking incredible filmmaker and the director of Last Year at Marion Bad, famously a giant comic book nerd and was friends with Stan Lee and tried to make an adaptation of Spider-Man at one point.
Yeah, so that's the stew of getting Delphine Seyrig to be in this movie, and Harry Kumel and the other filmmakers were like, I can't believe we got her. Because they also tried to get Malcolm McDowell to play Stefan.
Oh my god, that would be incredible.
Yeah. I mean,
he was little busy at the time.
Yeah. I really like John Carlin in this, but...
Yeah, and again, like, Delphine Seyrig being the big star of the movie works to the movie's balance, I think, really, really, really well. The other two lead actresses aren't as well known, both in Europe at the time, and especially not now at the time. And he, mostly being known from American TV, like, still gives him a little bit of recognition, but he's not ever going to overpower her in any way, shape, and form. Your attention is always going to be on her the entire way through the movie, and I think that's, like, an incredible casting choice. It's a shame that Harry Kumel only made a handful of movies. And from what I can tell, they're not all nearly as well loved as Daughters of Darkness. He made another movie the same year. Malpertuis with Orson Welles and Jean-Pierre Cassel, which I've heard mixed things about. I've been meaning to see it. It's like a Greek mythological kind of folk horror-esque film.
Interesting.
But most everything else he's made is just a small handful of like pieces in the late 70s and into the 90s. This is such an incredible film, and it's a shame that he never fully returned to the genre and never fully, I don't know, recaptured the magic that's in this movie. It kind of reminds me of like Night of the Hunter or Honeymoon Killers, and films that like the directors only made one movie ever and then like stepped away.
Yeah. Anything else to say about this before we move on?
I think this is truly Bloodhaus art house horror 101. This is like one of the most essential titles we've ever discussed.
I'm sorry we put it off so long.
But I like still having some of those to do. There's a lot of other really big
you kind of want to
ones.
spread them out, right? Like,
yeah, we can't front load all of that and then at the end be like, what do we got? I think this movie is absolutely wonderful. And listen, if you're listening to us now for the first time talk about it and haven't seen it, we haven't ruined any of the pleasures for you. I highly recommend you rush out, go take a look. And if you've seen it before, you already know what we're on about. And you already know that it's incredible.
I mean, the pleasures of this are what it looks like and how it feels. So we've spoiled none of that.
Exactly. And that's the best thing that cinema can give you. Like, you can't spoil an art house film, right? You can't spoil a painting, right?
I mean, that's I went on Letterboxd last night to look at this, which is a mistake because there are people, believe it or not, who don't like this, and uniformly they are idiots. And their criticism, though, is that it's like sleepy or it has no story. And first of all, it does have a story, but second of all, who fucking cares? Look at it.
Truly.
This movie could just be them sitting in silence for 2 hours, and if it looked like this, I'd be into that.
And we would all have a great time.
Exactly. Anyway. Let's play Have They Seen It, where we speculate wildly whether notable figures have seen this. I have someone in mind. This person, so this movie was heavily influenced a particular season of American Horror Story, which I have not seen.
Oh, the hotel season?
The hotel season.
Madame Gaga.
Yes, Madame Gaga, Lady Gaga herself, her character and the aesthetic of the season is based on Delphine Seyrig in this movie. Do you think Lady Gaga saw this?
I feel like if Ryan Murphy was honest about his influences and would have told her that, she definitely would have watched it. She does seem like the kind of person who is...
She does her homework.
She does her homework. She, like, much like Barbra Streisand before her, is a singer first, but then has a deep love of wanting to be in movies and wanting to be an actress. So I feel like she would very much do her homework. But that is whether or not Ryan Murphy is honest about his influences.
Yeah.
And whether or not he's, like, letting his collaborators know and recommending things to them. I feel like there's a possibility. I feel like that. So I feel like maybe I could see her appreciating it from an aesthetic level. I mean, I know she's seen Ken Russell movies, and I know she's seen like really crazy wild stuff, or at least her collaborators have, because she
loves like art films and fashion, and she's a sophisticated, cool person.
Yeah. I feel like she probably doesn't watch a ton of horror movies, but I feel like the Halloween season, this is probably one of her go-to picks.
I have to say something. I know Lady Gaga's high school drama teacher in New York. And so this woman, I won't say her name, right before Lady Gaga took off, she ran into her on the street, and this woman was like, "Oh, Miss So-and-so, it's so good to see you. You were life-changing. You were such an inspiration to me. Here's my number." But she could tell that Lady Gaga, aka Stephanie, was like drunk and on drugs. And so Stephanie left, and she's like, "Yeah, right, junkie, delete the number." And then like 6 months later, she was like the biggest pop star in the entire world. It's just so funny. Like, "Yeah, right, junkie, delete."
That's so funny.
It's so funny.
Maybe
I really like Lady Gaga.
If she hadn't deleted that number, maybe she could have gotten in touch about House of Gucci and maybe like worked with her a little bit on that performance. Yeah. And gotten that performance a little bit more dialed in, we'll say.
Did you see that quote about Joker 2 where the filmmaker was like,
"Oh God.
It's not a musical, but like the characters sing whenever they can't express something with words. It's like you literally just described a musical.
That quote has been pissing me. Todd Phillips is so annoying. It really smacks of like the Warner Brothers marketing was like, ooh, from projections, it looks like a lot of the neckbeards who love Joker are turned off by the fact that it's a musical and that Lady Gaga's in it. We need to do some backpedaling to get them back into the theater. And he was like, okay, I'll tell them it's not a musical. I'll tell them I created this new thing where people speak their emotions through music. That's what it'll be. I saw someone comment on that with the clip from 30 Rock where someone is like, I've invented this new thing. It's a clear bag that you can put your food inside of, but it gives you a full view of the food inside. And they're like, yeah, a sandwich bag. No, this is a new thing that I invented.
It's just so funny. It's weird that like studios are making musicals and then trying to hide that they're musicals, like Mean Girls, like Wicked.
Yeah,
like, you're not fooling us. We know that these are musicals.
They're doing it a lot. It's really bizarre, and it's causing those movies to bomb because people are like being like people who want to see a musical are being put off by that marketing, and then people who think it's one thing go in and find out it's a musical and then are disappointed and don't want to watch it. Like.
I'm somebody who loves musicals. I mean, I'm always down to go see a musical. Maybe not Mean Girls, to be honest, but like
definitely not Wicked for me. That looks like deleted. But like I deeply love musicals. I love La La Land. But the other thing that I can't I just can't stand the like self-aggrandizing marketing of a lot of like people being like, we invented this thing. This is a new thing to us. Like when Scream Queens came out and Ryan Murphy was like, I invented horror comedy and you're welcome. Try this on for size.
Here, watch this unwatchable show.
When I like the first season of Scream Queens, I will say. When that like Les Mis movie came out a few years ago, they're like, we invented a new technology that allows actors to sing live on set, and that's in the movie. And it's like, we've been doing this since the 60s.
Yeah. Also, have you ever been to a Broadway show? Because that's what they're doing.
Oh my god.
Okay. I love it like in Mike Flanagan in season 1 of his show where like there's like the long scene that's all done in one take and people are like, wow, I don't know how they did it, and was like, you'd really be blown away by a play.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry I interrupted you.
Continuing on our little game. So obviously Delphine Seyrig's character is heavily influenced in her look and her style and her mannerisms and her queerness and in her hair on famed German screen star and chanteuse Marlene Dietrich. And Dietrich lived a very long, happy life with her husband and many female lovers up until the early 90s. Do you think Marlene Dietrich saw Daughters of Darkness? Do you think she had that euphoria, holy shit, is this play about us moment?
I don't know. I don't know how big this was when it came out.
That's true. I could see this kind of being like a little kind of sleeper thing.
It wasn't on my radar in the 80s or 90s, but I was a child and a teenager in the 80s and 90s and didn't have incredibly sophisticated taste, although I was watching
as you do now.
Lot of horror. Yeah, of course. Flawless taste now. So I don't have a sense of that.
Yeah.
My gut says no.
Yeah, I don't see this having the kind of prestige when it came out. But I don't know. I can't speak to that. I don't know what England and France and Belgium and Germany were doing with this film in the 70s. I know Marlene Dietrich was doing movies with David Bowie and David Hemmings in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's possible.
And this isn't like a Belgian movie exactly, because it is a co-pro between like many countries, including, you know, the United States and Canada and France and Germany and Belgium. You know, it's like a ton of different companies.
However you can get the money.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's it for this episode of Bloodhaus. Please rate it wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow us on X or Instagram at Bloodhaus Pod. It feels so weird to say that.
It's so awkward.
Like a year later. Drusilla, where can people find you?
You can find me and my work over at sisterhighdesign.com. There's a whole bunch of new stuff over there. There's the poster for the new movie, The Featherweight, on there, which is very excited. It's going to be coming out in select theaters in LA and New York and Connecticut soon. It's a Willie Pep biopic, so it's very Connecticut focused. And that is very exciting. A lot more exciting pieces coming up there very, very soon. And you can also follow me on Letterboxd, and you can see what I think of great John Cusack rom-com High Fidelity over there. Spoiler alert, it's great. I love it. I think the Stiff Little Fingers Green Day scene is stupid, but other than that, I adore that movie. And you can follow me on Instagram if you look for Hyde Sister. What about you, Josh? How can people find you by a seaside estate?
I am at Joshua Conkel on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram. Next week, we are leaving Europe, and we are going south of the border for a really fun double feature. What are we watching?
We are continuing this kind of like little vacation in the off-season experience that we're having after Daughters of Darkness. We're heading down to Mexico. We are joining friends Rene Cardona III, and we will be joining Pedro Galindo III for a couple vacations of terror. Vacation of Terror and Vacation of Terror 2, Diabolical Birthday.
I'm so excited to watch those. Those look really fun.
I know, they look crazy.
All right, thanks. Bye.